The courtroom buzzes with an undercurrent of tension, the air thick with whispers and palpable dread. I sit in a warped, wooden chair, its surface cold against my skin. The scent of old paper and corporate cologne swirls around me, merging with the chatter of my accusers, and that sickening feeling of betrayal gnaws at my gut. My heart beats erratically, as if it knows the truth I've carried like a weight around my neck. The judge looks me in the eyes, and I can see the flicker of pity, or perhaps disdain. "Miss Carter, you claim that your son—" His voice trails off, and the noise fades into a muted silence. "Dot is indeed your son. However, medical records suggest otherwise. MIL has made a compelling case against you." My mouth dries, the words feeling like shards of glass lodged in my throat. Compelling case? Are we seriously listening to her? I cut myself off, realizing that any mention of her cruelty would only seem like a desperate plea. "Please, let's keep this civil," the judge interjects, framing my thoughts more accurately. "You will have a chance to present your side. But first, let's hear from Ms. Taylor." There she is, my mother-in-law, standing tall, perfectly manicured and composed. A masterclass of deception in her silk dove-grey dress that complements her silver hair. I hated how she always seemed on the cusp of winning, as if being a liar was second nature to her. "Your Honor," she begins, her voice steady, refined. "I'm only here to protect my family. This woman," gestures theatrically towards me, "has claimed my grandson is hers, yet no DNA validates it. I was only protecting him from being raised by someone who," she pauses, injecting emotion, "who so clearly doesn't love him." The words cut deeper than every solitary moment of despair I endured in her shadow. My head spins, and I wrestle with a fit of rage that tempts me to shatter the silence. How dare she question my love for my own child? I take a deep breath, letting the air fill my lungs, a futile attempt to restore balance. "Miss Taylor," the judge says, "please stick to the facts." "She is not his mother," she insists, the venom in her voice rising. "In fact, I believe it's necessary for this court to understand the environment I've witnessed in her home, one of instability and untruths." Instability. Did she even know how deeply rooted that word was in my life, the years spent oscillating between hope and dread? I roll back the years in my mind to that initial warmth I felt when I first met James. He was charming, romantic, and every whisper of his love felt like balm to my wounds. I had entered his world convinced of our illuminated future, unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. I recall the nights when everything was filled with laughter. The smell of popcorn would drift through our little apartment, the flickering light of the television screen dancing on our skin. "Just you wait," he'd promised. "Holding my hand, we'll build a beautiful family one day." I had been the beacon of innocence then, blind to the turmoil swirling within. Slowly, things began to shift, subtly at first. Friends stopped coming by. The invitations became few and far between, hushed by James's quiet but insistent disapproval. "They don't understand us, babe. They pull you away from me." His words were woven with charm and urgency. I wanted to trust him, accept his truths as my own. Each time I reached out to my friends and me a text, a phone call, James was there reminding me, "Just focus on us." I became isolated within these walls that used to feel warm and safe, now feeling more like a prison wrought with the shackles of emotional dependency. He had secured every corner of my existence, every dollar I earned, everything I believed to be true. "Your Honor," I finally managed to speak. "I loved my son since the moment he was born." The fact that she would cast doubt on my motherhood is disgusting. I was not perfect, but I was there. I cared. My heart races as the judge nods, but I see it in their eyes, the weight of suspicion lingering stronger than any truth I could offer. "Let's not get emotional," my mother-in-law states, cutting through my plea with precise coldness. "Emotion will not raise a child." The courtroom feels heavy, the walls seem to creep in closer. A metallic taste fills my mouth as I fight back tears, the humiliation clawing my insides. She has engineered my downfall within that warmth she pretends to wield. A twisted display playing out in front of a judge with my words rendered meaningless. Somehow, in that moment, the truth becomes doused in disbelief. I gather myself, envisioning the safe I knew she kept hidden in her home, where I had once assumed she housed family heirlooms. I pushed the thought away, at least for now. The world outside these walls faded as my mind replayed the dire straits I found myself in. Enough. The judge requires order, and I can barely contain my anger and desperation. I need that safe. I need the DNA results. Too much is at stake. Let the court recognize the truth, I managed to whisper to myself. Somewhere beneath this facade, I felt the fire ignite once more. Image prompt. A courtroom filled with muted colors, a tense atmosphere. The protagonist, a woman in her early 30s with curly chestnut hair, wearing a deep blue dress, sits with furrowed brows and fiery green eyes, gripping tightly onto the edges of the wooden chair as tears threaten to spill down her cheeks. In the background, a sharply dressed Mill, aglow in silk grey, directs an icy glare at her, arms folded, glistening nails poised in judgment. I left the courtroom, my mind a swirling storm of emotions and raw fury, my heart thudding against my ribcage like a prisoner desperate to escape its confines. It was hard to breathe as I stepped into the cool air, the scent of rain mingling with the smoky remnants of anxiety laced in my veins. The verdict loomed over me like an impending storm, dark and unforgiving. As I made my way to the car parked in the dimly lit lot, I kept replaying the words my mother-in-law hurled at me like venomous darts. She is not his mother. Each word echoed in my mind, wrapping around my throat, tightening with every pulse of my heart. My love for my son was not just a story I could tell. It was a truth that ran deeper than blood, even if the DNA test results loomed like shadows ready to crush me. I had to find the truth within those shadows first. I sank into the driver's seat, cranking the engine to life like it was the only thing keeping me from disintegrating into despair. The patter of rain began to fall, rhythmic and steady, mimicking the pulse of my thoughts. I needed to dig deeper, and I couldn't do this alone. The realization surged through me. I needed an ally. Later that day, I met Blake, an old friend from college who had taken up the law as a profession. I remembered the countless nights we'd spent whining about our hopeless futures, staring at the ceiling, dreaming of success. Now he was my last shot at redemption. I replayed our years apart, the drift that James had encouraged, yet somehow Blake remained loyal, waiting with open arms for me to break through. We sat across from each other in a small coffee shop, the warm scent of roasted beans wrapping around us as the rain tapped against the windows, creating a somber soundtrack. He looked different, more serious, but still the same kind man I remembered. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his hazel eyes held a glint of determination. "Jenna, it's been too long," he said, leaning forward, concern etching his brows. You look like you've been through hell." I admitted, the words spilling out before I could clench them back. "My mother-in-law is trying to take my son away. She claims I'm not his mother because of the DNA results. I need your help to prove her wrong." The cafe buzzed around us, but in that moment, it felt like the world had shrunk down to just the two of us. I rushed to spill everything. How conversations had turned sharp with suspicion. How I felt stripped of my identity. How every ounce of comfort now felt like a lie. "DNA isn't the only way to prove you're his mother, you know that, right?" Blake said, his voice soothing yet confident. "But she's got the upper hand," I sighed, glancing down at the designs carved into the wooden table. "I think she's hiding something. Something vital. I don't know how to find it." "I'll help you figure it out," he promised, lifting my chin with a gentle touch. "But we need something concrete. Proof of her deception." That's when a flicker ignited in my mind. I've been thinking about her safe, the one she uses to store her precious heirlooms. I used to assume it only held trinkets and family mementos, but what if it holds the answer I need? Blake's eyes widened with interest. "What do you mean? She's always been secretive about it. What if the real DNA results are in there? Maybe something to prove I'm not lying." My hands shook with the rush of possibilities, the taste of determination igniting the cool air around us. "Do you know where it is?" he asked, leaning back, analyzing my expression. "I've seen the safe in her study. I've never touched it, but if I can just get a look inside." I trailed off, imagining the weight lifting off my chest with each thought. "What if I could reclaim my narrative?" Blake nodded. "I could help you plan this Out date nights, family dinners, distractions. I'll be there to help you slip away unnoticed. Suddenly, the shutters rattled as a gust of wind whistled past the shop. I took a deep breath, excitement coiling within me like a spring. I could almost feel the tendrils of hope unfurling in my mind, their warmth blanketing the cold realities that had crushed me for too long. I realized my victory wasn't simply about proving my bond to my son, it was about taking back my power. "I need to do this," I whispered, adrenaline ministering to my vulnerabilities. "I need to show her that I will not back down." Blake held my gaze, something softening in his expression. "Let's do it." I left the cafe with a renewed sense of purpose. It was time to become the detective in my life, and unearth the evidence that had been hidden beneath layers of deceit. The rain had transformed into a steady drizzle, droplets slithering down the window like memories of my past. I stared out, letting the chill of the air settle in my bones. But now I understood. I was about to unearth a truth waiting to be found. No one, not even my mother, in-lock, could claim my son's love. Image prompt. Inside a quaint coffee shop, a woman in her early 30s, with curly chestnut hair and a distressed blue coat, sits across from a confident man in a white shirt, dark blazer, and tousled brown hair. The warm glow of pendant lights cascades over their table, contrasting the rain-soaked windows behind them. The tension hangs in the air, palpable yet charged with determination, as the woman leans in, hope gleaming in her fiery green eyes. The tension hummed in the air like electricity as I stepped into my mother-in-law's living room, the sweet scent of jasmine mingling with the lingering mustiness of old memories. Each step felt heavy, both a display of defiance and a suffocating weight of dread. I was armed emotionally, perhaps, but unsure of the power I truly wielded. The truth glimmered in my mind, and deep down I wondered if it would be enough. "Jenna," she greeted, her voice smooth yet brittle like the delicate china lining her shelves. She didn't turn from the family photo she was adjusting on the mantelpiece, seemingly rehearsed in her manipulations. What a surprise! "Is everything all right?" My heart raced, each thud growing louder than the last. "I need to talk to you," I began, forcing the words out over the lump in my throat. About James and the DNA results." She pivoted swiftly, her perfectly groomed brows arched with bemusement, and a small, almost cruel smile danced on her lips. "Ah, the DNA results," she savored. "I thought we settled that." "Clearly it's not up for discussion, dear." I felt a sharp pang of frustration clawing at me. "It is up for discussion. You know that. I'm his mother, and no piece of paper will ever change that." The room buzzed with disdain, the air thick with unspoken judgments as her eyes flickered with something akin to amusement. "But you see, Jenna," she leaned in slightly, her voice soothing yet laced with an undercurrent of mockery. "It sounds like you're struggling with denial. Denial is always the first stage of grief, but you really must learn to move forward." "Denial?" I gasped, trying to wrap my mind around her chillingly dispassionate approach. "This isn't about denial. You can't just manipulate the truth because that's how you feel. There are things hidden away in your safe that prove I'm his mother. Jenna, darling," she continued, her voice remaining unnaturally calm, "you know how emotions can cloud judgment. I am genuinely concerned about you. It's clear you're becoming increasingly distressed over this situation, and it's completely understandable. You're losing control." The walls seemed to close in around me, the intensity of her words echoing through my thoughts like a metronome, reminding me of each tick of wasted time spent in her shadow. "Losing control?" I echoed, incredulity bubbling to the surface. My chest tightened as the realization dawned. She was trying to twist this around on me, pulling the rug out from under my feet. "You're gaslighting me. You know exactly what you're doing." She chuckled softly, and the sweetness of her smile twisted into something malignant. "Jenna, I always treated you like family. I've only ever wanted what's best for my grandson. Everyone here knows that. Everyone." I blinked, questioning her as her tone shifted from sweet to sharp. "You mean the family you convinced to turn their backs on me? You've made them believe I'm insane out of desperate fear. Darling, their concern is for you." The steeliness underlying her voice gripped my heart tighter than any accusation could. "You've turned this into a drama, haven't you? It's understandable. After all, you're fighting an uphill battle without the tangible proof of motherhood. I won't deny the pain must be excruciating, but you really need to find a safe way to express those feelings, even if they are a bit irrational. Every word twisted like a dagger, slicing away fragments of my self-assurance. I felt my chest constricting again. My stomach churned as anger intertwined with helplessness. No, you won't keep pinning this on me. This is my son, and I'd do anything to protect him. Her expression shifted to cold, dispassionate concern, and every fiber of my being burned with fury at the distance it created. Jenna, please stay calm. You really don't want to escalate this. You'll look unhinged. Unhinged, I spat back, voice trembling, desperation dripping from every word. Who do you think you're fooling? You're gaslighting me, and if I didn't have a document proving you wrong, I might actually succumb to your twisted version of reality. Oh, sweet Jenna, she cooed, a chill slinking through her words. Think about how this sounds. You come here, hurling accusations and demanding to raid my safe for a document that doesn't exist. You're scaring everyone. They're all concerned how you've changed. I felt the earth beneath me shake with her insinuations, the very ground I stood on made out of shattered dreams and mistrust. I could see the flicker of amusement in her eyes as my family began to gather in the living room, glances flickering between their disbelief and concern for the madness unraveling before them. Mom, what's going on? James's voice resonated over the impending chaos, his silhouette wavering in the dim light. Can't believe you're fighting like this again. I stood frozen, the walls closing tighter, laughter bubbling beneath their concern. You just have to see it from our side, Jenna, James interjected, his tone laced with irritation, echoing the cruel detachment I had tried so hard to forget. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Harder? The word erupted, bubbles of indignation bursting forth. You don't get to play the victim when I'm the one fighting for my son. Stop, my mother-in-law's voice commanded like thunder, silencing the panic and ushering the biting air of remorse into the room. You're losing yourself in this anger, and it's only going to hurt you. You'll push everyone away. In that moment, I felt the weight of defeat creeps in, slinking over my shoulders like a heavy shroud, the laughter of shame lurking in the corners of my mind. I looked around at the faces, concerned, pity, doubt. Trapped within that suffocating environment, I felt the last thread of my resolve snap. Choked by her insistence that I was losing control, spiraling into madness. And as I entered the abyss of disbelief, my spirit dimmed just a little more, a part of me retreating beneath her cold facade. Image prompt. Inside an opulent living room with tastefully arranged decor and muted lighting. The protagonist, a woman with curly chestnut hair tangled in distress, stands in the center, eyes bright but shadowed with pain. Surrounded by family members with concerned expressions, her mother-in-law stands smugly beside a handsome man in a tailored suit, her icy gaze directed at the protagonist, betraying an investigator's intent. While a glimmer of apprehension hangs behind the concerned faces lurking in the background, the tension in the room simmered as my mother-in-law stood there, her presence heavy and suffocating. I felt like a moth trapped in her web of lies. The walls were creeping in, and I could feel despair wrapping around my heart, squeezing tighter with each breath. I had just entered the lion's den, and I was the prey. Jenna, dear, she said, her voice smooth as silk, you really should just consider stepping away from this fight. You're out of your depth. Out of my depth, I echoed, incredulous. This is my son we're talking about. I'm not going anywhere. Your son. She laughed bitterly, the sound sending a chill racing down my spine. You don't even have proof that you're his mother, do you? You should leave before you embarrass yourself. I can't just walk away. Every moment I fight, I'm fighting for my son. Against your manipulation, I shot back, my own voice rising with anger. The mocking glimmer in her eyes was unbearable as she took a step closer. I have the support of the family, Jenna. They're worried about you. You're spiraling. A dangerous edge crept into her tone. Perhaps you need to consider your mental health. How long do you think they'll stand by you if you keep acting irrationally? The weight of her words pressed heavily on my chest. My heart raced as realization hit me hard. She was maneuvering to isolate me further, just like she had done before. You can't do this to me. Not again, can't I? Her challenge hung in the air, daring me to display weakness. This isn't your fight anymore. You've stirred up trouble, and all you've managed to do is push the family away. Without their support, you're powerless. I threw my hands up in frustration. You think you've won, don't you? That you could just take my son because I'm admitting the truth. Truth? She spat the word as if it were bitter poison. Your truth is merely a facade masking the instability that threatens my grandson. If you love him, you'll back down. Panic wove its way through me as those words hit home. How could anyone question my love? You think I don't love him? My voice shook as the agony seeped through. I've given everything for him. Yes, and look where that's gotten you. Without a home, without proof you even have a claim. You bring chaos wherever you go. Her words dripped with sugar-coated malice. The thought that I could lose everything again sent me spiraling. I won't let you take him. Not without a fight. I'll find the truth, and when I do, you'll find nothing but shame and loneliness. She interjected, cutting me off. Her tone was sharp and dismissive. You're standing on the edge of a very high cliff, and one wrong move. What are you threatening me? I almost laughed, though my throat tightened painfully. Is that what this is about? You think I won't fight back? I'm just saying that the truth has a way of revealing itself, she said smoothly, the layers of her tone now oozing with sinister joy. The thin threads of my resolve began to fray. Was she really threatening me? A strange stillness filled the room, engulfing us in silence heavy with her anticipation. Then the weight of her gaze settled on me like an anvil. I don't fear you, I spat back, my voice steadier than I felt. At least I seemed brave enough. The storm inside me was swirling, chaotic and relentless. But would that be enough? All I want is what's best for him, she said, voice dripping with faux sympathy. And I can't allow someone unstable, someone like you, to have him. Unstable? You're the one throwing me out like trash. Before I could finish my thought, the door swung open and James walked in. His presence both familiar and alien-like, someone watching a disaster unfold from a safe distance. Mum? What's going on? He asked, his eyes darting between us. It's nothing for you to worry about, sweetheart, she soothed, as if lacing poison in honey. Everything's fine, I lied, the words tasting sour on my tongue. But I was anything but fine. I'm not blind, Jenna, he replied, his voice growing frustrated. You're in here making a scene again. You need to leave. James, wait, I pleaded, stepping forward, but he held up his hand, stopping me in my tracks. Stop making this harder for all of us. Just stop. No, I shouted, desperation clawing at my throat. You don't understand. Your mother is manipulating everything. She'll take him away. Enough, he boomed, the tension in his voice cracking like thunder clapped above us. Jenna, his mother interjected smoothly, if you don't leave right now, I refuse to let you back in. Consider this your official warning. The cold truth of her words sliced through the air like a whisper of betrayal. I felt my heart crumbling beneath the weight of her threats. So this is how it ends? I trembled, grief dancing at the edges of my mind. You'll toss me out like I meant nothing. Don't make it any harder. You have no place here, James asserted flatly, eyes hardened by indecision. Please don't do this. I have nowhere to go. The plea clawed at my throat as tears threatened to spill, my voice breaking. Then you need to fix yourself first, he shot back with an edge that felt sharper than any blade. Just like that, my world shattered in an instant. I refuse to let you take him from me, I cried, desperate for him to see me, to acknowledge my hurt. But it was like hitting a cement wall. I felt the air grow thin as I stumbled away from them, the reality of my situation crashing down like waves against rocky shores. Was he truly choosing her over me? The door closed behind me with a sickening finality, leaving me standing helpless in the chilly silence. I sank down on the front steps, the cool wood biting against my skin as I fought against the impending weight of despair. They thought they had destroyed me, but like a flower through concrete, amidst the litter of lost dreams, I would find my way back, somehow. If you hate bullies, hit the like button. Image prompt. A sobering evening shot of the protagonist sitting on the steps outside her mother-in-law's lavish home. The dim light creating shadows on her tear-streaked face. Her chestnut curls fray in disarray, her deep blue coat draped heavily around her frame, embodying the weight of loss. The doorway behind her looms ominously, a symbol of rejection and betrayal. As glowing lights spill out, a stark contrast to her fragile figure huddled against the cool, unforgiving wood. I I sat in the passenger seat of Blake's car, rain streaking down the windshield, each droplet echoing the rhythm of my racing heart. A sense of both dread and determination surged through me as I looked toward my mother-in-law's home looming before us, a fortress built on lies and deception. I had spent sleepless nights thinking of how to infiltrate that world, and now the time had come to secure the proof I needed. Blake shot me a supportive glance, his hazel eyes sparkling with the fierce resolve I had desperately needed. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked, his tone low, careful not to add to my already fraught state of mind. "I have to. If I want to protect my son, I have to find out what she's hiding in that safe," I replied, my voice steely, but inside I felt nervous butterflies clash against the walls of my stomach. "You will," Blake reassured me, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "Stick to the plan. Distract her, and I'll handle the safe. You'll stand before her, and when she lets her guard down, I'll be ready. What if she catches us? She's unpredictable." The memory of her mocking laughter rang in my ears, sending a shiver down my spine. "Trust me, I've got your back. Just focus on buying time if we can get her talking. I'll slip back and access the safe." He looked deep into my eyes, and in that moment, I saw his commitment, one that would forge a path to our victory. "Okay," I breathed, feeling emboldened. "Let's do this." We parked on a side street just out of sight. As we walked toward the entrance, the air grew denser, the kind of suffocating weight that accompanied a storm. I took one last calming breath before pushing the doorbell. Her voice, though muffled, drifted through the intercom. "Who is it?" It's me, Jenna," I called out, plastering on my best smile, feeling the tensions tighten inside my chest. "Come in," she chirped, and the door swung open, revealing her dressed impeccably in soft pastels, hair perfectly coiffed. "Nice to see you again, sweetie," she said, her tone saccharine yet shallow. "What brings you by today?" "Oh, you know how it is," I began, easing my way in, forcing every word through the pit of my stomach. "Thought I'd drop by, maybe have a chat. I miss those moments, don't you?" She narrowed her eyes, assessing me as I stepped into her meticulously arranged home. "You know I've been quite busy, but I suppose I could spare a moment. Come to the kitchen." I followed her, the floral scent of the potpourri hanging thick in the air, an attempt at homeliness that felt more like a facade than ever. Every movement felt calculated, every word a strategy. The clatter of dishes bounced off the walls as I tried to guide the conversation toward wherever it could serve me. "I've been thinking a lot about, family lately." She nodded as if encouraging my words, the corners of her mouth pulling slightly upward. "Family is so important. We must protect what's ours," she replied, emphasis drawing my heartbeat into a straining rhythm. "Absolutely," I responded tightly, the tension coiling in my throat as I tried to weave deeper. "You know, I've always admired how you kept everything about our family so organized. The safe, for instance. I've never seen anything like it before." She froze, the kettle sputtering angrily behind her, her eyes hardening. "What about it?" "I just wonder what you keep in there," I said innocently. "Those family heirlooms, right? So precious to the entire family. Have you ever thought about letting me have a peek? I feel like it could strengthen our bond." "Strengthen our bond?" she echoed incredulously, her face set in a perfect mask of polite interest, but I could see the venom lurking just beneath. "Why would I let you rummage through my valuables?" Suddenly, the kitchen began spinning, a whirlpool of muted colors filled with her bitterness, and I pressed on, my voice trembling slightly. "I mean, if I'm going to be part of this family, shouldn't I know everything? Shouldn't I have access just like you?" "Jenna," she said, threading her fingers together like a predator preparing to strike. "I think you're trying very hard to navigate through waters you might not be ready for. It's wise to sometimes accept boundaries." "Boundaries?" I scoffed. "Or are they just your way of keeping a tight grip on your secrets?" The moment hung in the air, trembling with tension as she stepped closer, her lilting demeanor replaced by something eerily unyielding. "You can't win this, Jenna." The rain outside echoed my heartbeat, the tension mounting into something electric enough to ignite flames of desperation. "I think you're underestimating me. I know more than you think." Her eyes widened as she narrowed the gap between us, her voice low and cold as steel. "Don't play games with me. You're risking everything." Just then, I caught the flash of Blake in the corner of my eye, vanishing toward the hallway. A pang of fear shot through me, but I pressed on, unable to retreat now. And you're risking your secrets. Secrets you don't want anyone to find. A strained silence engulfed us as I felt the tremors of confrontation vibrating beneath the surface. She locked eyes with me, her expression shifting ominously. Secrets, Jenna? What do you know about secrets? But it was at that moment, with the weight of her words hanging heavily, I realized how much deeper the roots of her deceit stretched. The urgency to uncover the truth deepened, and without thinking, I muttered, "You're trying so hard to keep me away from what's mine. And you're trying to reclaim something that was never yours," she shouted, anger crackling through the air like lightning. Somewhere beyond the intense standoff, I heard a small click and my heart raced. Blake was at the safe. "No, you're wrong." "I am his mother," I replied, firming my stance against her chilling facade. But just as I regained some authority, the soft whoosh of a door opening startled me. The sound of heavy footsteps retreated slowly down the hallway. Blake had done it. I felt a rush of adrenaline that combined panic with hope as I fought to balance my emotions. "Jenna, don't you dare walk out of this room," she hissed, but my focus sharpened once again. "What's in the safe? What are you hiding?" "I'll do whatever it takes to protect my son, even if it means tearing down your lies," I shouted, reeling to hold her gaze. Almost triumphantly, I saw flickers of uncertainty cross her face. "You're delusional, and you're a liar," I shot back, adrenaline coursing through my veins. There was a glint of something unreadable in her expression, a moment where the mask faltered and I seized it. "What is it you're hiding? There's more to this than just a simple family record, isn't there? I can feel it." "Jenna, I suggest you stop while you're ahead," she warned, but I would not be dissuaded. "What crime are you covering up?" A flicker of rage ignited behind her eyes. "You're playing a dangerous game." And just then, it struck me. This was it. I'd pushed her further than she anticipated, and the truth was teetering on the brink of revelation. "Blake," I cried, sensing the moment was ripe, the door now just a breath away from opening up my world once more. "I've got it," he exclaimed, emerging from the hallway, his expression triumphant and fierce. In his hands, a folder glinted ominously. "What did you find?" I whispered, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. "Only the truth," and with those words hanging in the air, a new trajectory formed in my fight, an obligation to unearth not just the secrets of my mother-in-law, but those that intertwined with my identity and that of my son. I'd finally found the power I needed. Image prompt: a kitchen illuminated by warm light, with a woman in her early 30s, chestnut hair cascading around her face, fiercely confronting her elegant older mother-in-law, who stands poised with an icy glare. The atmosphere is thick with tension as the younger woman's fiery green eyes pierce through the dimness, while the man beside her holds a substantial folder showcasing determination. In the background, a wall of family photos lingers like ghosts, each frame echoing uninvited memories and secrets. The evening air sparkled with festivity, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses weaving through the vibrant atmosphere. As I stepped into the grand hall, all glimmering chandeliers and elegantly clothed tables, I felt an electric mix of anxiety and determination surge through me. This was where the trap would be set, a place where my mother-in-law couldn't escape the truth that had haunted her for so long. I gazed around at the familiar faces mingling with strangers, and I wondered, would tonight be the night I reclaimed my son? Blake had promised to be my support at this event, and I felt the reassuring weight of his presence in the corner of the room. He was scanning the gathering, every inch the diligent ally. I took a moment to collect myself, stepping away from the laughter to an alcove shaded from the bright light, where I could extinguish the ember of doubt that flickered within me. "Jenna," the high-pitched voice shattered my momentary peace. My mother-in-law swept into view, her silk dress shining under the lights, and the sweet scent of jasmine clung to her, as if to mask the tension up ahead. "How lovely to see you. I didn't think you'd show after all that has happened." "Of course I would come, Mum," I replied, forcing a smile that felt as fragile as glass. "We are family after all, right?" Her eyes flickered with something. Suspicion, or perhaps arresting cruelty, but it was all a game. "Naturally. I've spoken to James, and I believe he still wants to see you." "Good. I have much to share with all of you." The fire in my belly flared as the words slipped past my lips. almost igniting a path of challenge. "Let's enjoy this lovely evening then," she said, her smile remaining fixed and unwavering as she turned her attention back to the milling crowd. "I'll get you a drink. A night like this calls for champagne." "Sure," I humored her, glancing toward Blake, who nodded subtly, a silent agreement that tonight was about strategy. Moments later, I felt the sharp tap of her hand on my shoulder as she returned, a glass glistening in her grip. "To family," she toasted, her voice smooth yet laced with something sinister. "To family," I echoed, raising my glass, but the glittering liquid inside felt like poison ready to spill. We mingled for a while, the vibe teetering between cordiality and tension as various family members approached, offering hollow greetings, but I remained keen-eyed, waiting for the right moment. "Jenna!" Blake approached, his face beaming with determination. "We should find James. It's time to reveal the truth about everything." I nodded, my heart racing with each step we took together through the crowd. The laughter dimmed as I spotted my husband across the room, standing beside my mother-in-law, her hand resting possessively on his arm. "James," I called, projecting my voice over the surrounding murmur as the weight of the ballooning anticipation settled in my chest. "Can you come here?" His eyes flickered with surprise, yet he made his way toward us. "What's going on?" he asked, confusion etched across his handsome face. "I have something important to show you, something we need to discuss." I held his gaze firmly, a mixture of fear and resolve coursing through me. "Show me?" His expression shifted to skepticism, and my mother-in-law stepped forward, embodying a disruptive presence like a dark cloud over my intentions. "This isn't the time, Jenna," she asserted, her tone sugar-coated but dripping with disdain. "There's nothing left to discuss, really. On the contrary, I think you both need to hear this," Blake interjected, stepping beside me, his presence a steadfast anchor. "What are you implying?" James asked, tension tightening in the air. I took a deep breath, feeling the fire of emotion grip my words as I prepared for the setup. "There's a safe in your mother's house, isn't there?" I allowed the question to resonate, watching their reactions closely. "I don't know what you're talking about," my mother-in-law said, but I could see the cracks forming in her calm facade. "You know," I pressed on, feeling the weight of the moment crescendo. "The one that may hold the answers to this mess. The DNA report you've hidden away, along with the secrets you've tried to bury." "What an outrageous accusation," she scoffed, but I noticed a lapse in her coolness, the narrowing of her eyes betraying her discomfort. I turned to James, my voice laced with urgency. "You deserve to know the truth. You've been fed lies, and it's time to lay this to rest. I'm done playing the victim." "Jenna," he began, but I cut him off. "Remember those tales about family heirlooms? What if they're not just trinkets? What if right now something more sinister lies hidden under the guise of tradition?" "You're scaring me," he said, glancing nervously at his mother, whose facade was crumbling under the pressure of my words. "I'm not trying to scare you," I insisted, "but aren't you curious? Don't you want to know the truth, James? If you love our son, don't you want to protect him as well?" His gaze shifted, uncertainty swirling within him, and I seized the opportunity. "Let's check that safe together, right now." "You'll regret saying that," my mother-in-law hissed, the venom dripping from her words echoing through the charged atmosphere. But I pressed on, undeterred, the ballroom swirling around us. "I refuse to live in fear. I refuse to let you dictate my narrative any longer. We need to uncover your lies." "Enough," James snapped, clearly shaken between the two of us. "Mother, is there something you're not telling me?" My heart raced as the moment hung in the balance, the energy building like a tightly coiled spring. I could feel the eyes of the family members inching closer, curiosity piqued despite their previously forced cheer. "Let's not make a scene," she hissed low, like an angry cat trapped in a corner, yet the grip she had over James was faltering. "This is nonsense." I pressed my case. "It's not nonsense, James. It's a plea for truth. For you, it's time for you to choose a side," she finally cut in, her voice rigid with threat, not just for me, but for the future I fought to secure. I held her gaze, the resolve within me surging as the last definitive moment approached, a choice laid bare before me and everyone else present. What is it going to be? Will we remain bound by her lies, or will we uncover the truth together? I turned to face the audience creeping closer, curiosity blooming across the faces around us as they awaited the revelation to unfold. I had to decide, forgive or destroy. Tell me in the comments. The low hum of gossip grew palpable as I prepared to unveil the hidden aspects of our lives that my mother-in-law had so carefully orchestrated. It was no longer just about me. It was about rebuilding the ties that had been tangled in deception. Image prompt. A grand ballroom adorned with elegant chandeliers, filled with guests dressed in formal attire, laughter ringing through the air. In the foreground, a determined woman in a deep blue dress stands defiantly before a handsome man in a tailored suit. Her fiery green eyes set in resolute urgency, facing a poised older woman dressed in silk, embodying layers of tension and suppressed anger. The backdrop captures a swirl of intrigue and anticipation as family members lean closer, caught in the web of a confrontation waiting to unfold. I stood in front of the safe, breathlessly aware of the gravity of the moment. The air hummed with anticipation, a storm brewing beneath a surface of brightly lit chandeliers and cheerful party-goers. I could see my mother-in-law looking regal in her silk gown, trying to mask her panic behind a facade of composure. I could sense the waves of anger and thrill coursing through me, electrifying my veins. "Jenna, drop this," she said, her voice dripping with her typical saccharine venom. "You'll only humiliate yourself further. You don't want to ruin this family gathering, do you?" "Humiliate myself," I scoffed, the laughter spilling out like vitriol. "You think I'm the one who should be worried about humiliation? Because right now it feels like I'm the only one willing to be honest about who I truly am." "Do you really think anyone will believe you?" she shot back, her composure slipping. I pushed back with everything I had, meeting her icy glare with unyielding determination. "You've made it a point to convince everyone that I am unfit to be his mother, that I am unworthy of his love, a lie that has festered in our family for years. But tonight, I set the record straight." Her face turned ashen as I pressed my hands against the cool surface of the safe, my heart racing with dread and excitement as I prepared to reveal the truth buried within its depths. "You think your lies will protect you? This safe contains the real DNA results you hoped would never see the light of day." The chatter around us dulled as Blake joined my side, the folder gripped tightly in his hands, eyes narrowed in defiance. "Let's end this, shall we? It's overdue for the truth to be unsealed." As I stood there, the crowd behind us began to close in, curiosity flickering across their faces. I gestured toward Blake. "People deserve to know the truth. Your grandson is not just an heirloom you can toss away when deemed inconvenient. Enough of this nonsense!" My mother-in-law's voice quaked with tension, though she attempted to regain some composure. "You're grasping at straws. I'm not the one grasping." I straightened, confidence surging in waves, temporarily drowning out the memories of despair. "Every lie you've told, every ounce of poison you've spread, all leads to this moment." "Do you want to ruin everything?" James interjected, stepping in, genuine worry flickering over his features. "What's inside that safe could destroy our family. So be it." I locked eyes with him, fear washing over, battling the resolve that had taken root in my heart. "You deserve to know if you're making the gravest mistake of your life by letting her manipulate you." With one swift motion, I turned the handle, the heavy door of the safe opening with an unsatisfying creak. The scent of stale air filled the room like a quiet whisper of promises broken. Inside lay the documents, neatly stacked and covered with dust, but they had the power to unravel everything. "Here we go, folks," I said with false cheer, pulling out the stack and holding it high, letting the glint of authority shine through. The proof was always here, handing you the keys to what you've hidden so well. Everyone around me leaned closer, a collective gasp rippling through the crowd. I began flipping through the pages. "Let's start with the real DNA results. I can assure you, her claim that I'm unfit is false. Here we are, my son, by blood, by love, by every choice I've made." Murmurs started to rise, my family teetering just on the edge of revelation. My mother-in-law's expression twisted, her facade shattered as veins of humiliation coursed through her. "You're twisting this. No, what you've twisted is the truth." I turned and gestured toward the familiar figure of James. "We're not tied together by manipulation or deceit. We're tied by something far greater, love." It's time you recognized it. Her eyes flared, controlling fury barely contained. "You won't get away with this, Jenna." "Oh, but I already have." You tried to vilify my love, but it blooms bright, even in the darkest corners of this family. I won't let you intimidate me any longer." The finality rang in the air as I took a breath, feeling lighter with every conviction that aired. I flipped to another page, revealing a handwritten note, my mother-in-law's careful penmanship arching across the paper. "And how about this, then?" My mother-in-law's eyes widened, a flicker of fear coursing through them as the crowd strained forward, excitement palpable. "Are you all aware that this document states that she, in fact, falsified evidence in a previous family matter? That she has been sitting over the safety of her family and manipulating it for her own gain?" The vibrations in the room shifted, the hum of disbelief wrapping around us like a thick velvet shroud. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not just about my son. It's about uncovering years of lies. In her quest to defend her family, she has shrouded only herself in deceit. The startled enthusiasm of the crowd grew as my mother-in-law's grip slipped, backing away, her carefully crafted public image unraveling before all. And as I let the revelation seep into the very bones of our family, I couldn't help but feel like I had finally stepped out from the shadows and into the light. I refused to be the victim any longer. I had claimed my victory, and in that grand hall, beneath glimmering chandeliers and hushed gasps, the villains of my story had been exposed one by one. Image prompt. The protagonist in a striking deep blue dress, holding a stack of documents high in a grand ballroom, confronting a distressed older woman in silk, surrounded by amazed family members whose faces reflect shock and intrigue. The ambience is charged with emotion-glistening chandeliers overhead, casting bright reflections on their tense expressions. As the weight of revelation hangs in the air, I stood in the courtroom, trembling not from fear this time, but from the exhilaration of having finally exposed the truth. The documents I had unveiled felt heavy in my hands, representing not just pieces of paper, but years of emotional turmoil, betrayal, and the tenacious fight for my son. "Your Honor!" The judge's voice broke through my thoughts, his expression unyielding as he reviewed the documents. "It's clear that Ms. Taylor has acted deceitfully. Not only has she attempted to undermine your credibility, but her falsifications are now documented." I felt a wave of disbelief wash over me, almost lifting me off my feet. My mother-in-law, who had once loomed like a spectre in my life, now stood before the judge, her expression shifting from confidence to sheer dread. This isn't right," she stammered, her composure crumbling like a sandcastle against relentless tides. "You have deceived this court for far too long," the judge continued, pivoting to meet her gaze. "The evidence of your manipulation is undeniable." At that moment, a sense of freedom surged within me, illuminating the dark corners where fear once lingered. I looked toward James, whose face bore the weight of realization. His eyes were wide, crossing the threshold between disbelief and understanding. "Mum," he said incredulously, "how could you?" "Oh, please, James," she snapped, flailing helplessly against the truth that now shackled her. "This is Joyce's doing. She's been nothing but unstable." "Enough," the judge ordered, silencing her attempt to shift blame. "I believe we have heard enough." In that instant, it felt as though a heavy weight had lifted. After everything, I could finally breathe freely. The risks I had taken to dismantle her facade were rewarded with this burgeoning sense of truth, of justice, but the fallout would be harsh. Weeks later, as I pored over reports and fallout through the media, news broke that my mother-in-law faced jail time for falsification and attempted fraud related to custody battles. It felt surreal to see her name splashed across headlines denoting her as the monster she'd always tried to paint me to be. She'd been exposed for embezzling funds from family trusts, siphoning money to her private account, all while cloaked in the guise of a loving grandmother. Her lavish lifestyle had come at the cost of our family's savings, manipulating us into thinking I was the problem while orchestrating her downfall. The whispers surrounded me, but I stood firm. "Can you believe she'll go to prison?" one of my newly supportive aunts remarked during a family gathering where everyone had finally come together to support my rightful place as my son's mother. "I honestly never thought she'd be capable of that level of deceit," I replied, gripping my cup of coffee, feeling the warmth seep through, allowing me a moment of solace. A warm smile crept across my face, knowing that my son was safe and secure in my embrace, showered in love without the shadow of manipulation presiding over him. "What about James?" my aunt asked, her voice quieter. "Let him find his path," I answered resolutely. "He needs to understand that loyalty can't exist without respect. He'll come around when he's ready." Days turned into weeks, and I could hear my mother-in-law's name whispered in prison gossip, the very essence of her cruelty now suffocating her spirit. I couldn't find it within myself to feel sorry for her. In her absence, I learned to thrive. I enrolled in courses curated around parenting, something I had desired for so long, while also planning small vacations full of laughter. My connections with my friends rekindled, and, slowly, those friendships deepened into something I desperately craved, filling the void isolation had carved. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through my living room window, my son and I shared a quiet moment, just us. Coloring on a large piece of paper sprawled across our coffee table, giggles peppering the air. I glanced at him, his smile radiating joy as he scribbled bright colors, making unfiltered masterpieces across the canvas of our lives. "Mummy, look, my castle!" he exclaimed, thrusting the page toward me. I marveled at his interpretation of a royal kingdom, painted in wild colors. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." I beamed, my heart swelling with pride, a testament to the love we had built in the absence of toxicity. With every passing day, the clouds of despair cleared. The previous darkness had melted away, replaced by a vibrant tapestry of hope, growth, and unwavering love for my son. I found peace not just in my victories, but in the simple joys we shared daily. In that moment, I knew as long as I took this journey, I'd never let anyone diminish my sense of self again. "Mummy loves you." As I watched him doodle, I held on to the promise that life would only get better from here. "Will our castle be real?" he asked, wide-eyed innocence shining through. "If we believe hard enough, it can be our imaginary fortress right here," I answered. And in that moment, our laughter echoed throughout the house, a melody intertwined with hope and resolute power, and a clear trajectory towards a beautiful future. "Subscribe for more karma," I declared softly, knowing that justice always finds a way amidst the darkness. And just like that, the victory was sweet. Image prompt: a cozy, sunlight-drenched living room filled with warm light, where a woman in her early 30s, with curly chestnut hair tied up, kneels on the ground beside her young son. A vibrant piece of art sprawled across the coffee table. Their joyous smiles echo pure happiness, her green eyes sparkling as he shows off his colorful castle drawing. In the background, remnants of an old family life linger, reflecting a forgotten past, while the room feels alive with newfound hope.